So it's also my job to introduce Vladimir Duthiers, who will interview our honoree tonight. He is a featured host of CBS Mornings. He is also anchor for the CBS streaming network, and his work has been featured throughout the CBS network, including CBS Evening News. Vladimir, who holds an MS in journalism from Columbia University, started his storied career in 2009 at CNN, where he eventually became international correspondent based in Nigeria. He's reported from around the world, and for his work, he's received both a Peabody Award and an Emmy Award. I'm very, very jealous of Vladimir because in the course of his reporting, I understand he's flown with the Navy's Blue Angels, and he flew a training mission in the backseat of an F-15 Viper. So, I suppose it's only a coincidence if we have tonight both a Slawomir and a Vladimir, and I will let them both take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It's a great honor to be once again here with you tonight. This is the second time that I've had an opportunity to moderate what I like to call a fireside chat, a discussion with an luminary and one such as recognizes yourself. So this is going to be a fascinating discussion for me because part of my job as a journalist is to get to know someone and to get to know their story and to share that story with people, and so we're going to try to do that today. I was listening to the introduction there, and it was mentioned that you've had an unconventional path to where you are today. How did your personal journey shape you as an individual? What were some of, if you can give us some anecdotes of some of the key moments in your journey to where you are today?
Thank you for doing this. Thank you everybody to join us here tonight, and for the many colleagues and friends and clients and partners that are doing me the honor of being here tonight. I'm an undeserving honoree, but very proud to be here and very touched by this gesture from my friends from the American Sciences Po Foundation. So, in terms of my personal journey, I think it starts with the fact that I'm Polish, and I was this kid in the depth of communist Poland at the end of the 70s, son to a literature professor and an academic's mother, linguist. What they taught me through their life and the way they raised us and raised me is that nothing is impossible. As simple as that, everything is a matter of how much you want to achieve something and how much limit do you set yourselves, right? Or saying it differently, maybe in a simpler form, that the only thing that limits your life is whatever you choose to be your limitation. And I think that defines me, because what Stefan referred to as unconventional has a lot to do with France. I think in many other countries it would be actually very conventional in terms of career. You start a job and you work hard, and you go for the opportunities that you're presented with, and at some point, you know, and I'm going to the second piece, you have some luck, you have some blessings, and I had many, many, many blessings and a lot of luck. That's the second feature of my personal story, most of them having to do with meeting amazing people at Sciences Po, before that, friends of my parents, and mostly in the last 25 years, you know, amazing clients, managers, colleagues, who every single day on some level taught me something, made me better, gave me things to look up to, and again, strive for some form of excellence, right? I'm still on the path of trying to get there. I'm not there yet.
You mentioned Sciences Po. I'm curious, when you think back at your experience at Sciences Po, First of all, why did you choose to attend? And where or how have you seen your education that you received at Sciences Po play into your career?
So I always wanted to attend Sciences Po. I think it's the prestige and the subject matter, which is international affairs and political science, were things that interested me a lot all the time. And at the beginning, which is weird to say from where I sit right now, the idea that I wanted to go into public service, which I never did, apart from an internship in a Ministry of Agriculture in Poland, of all places in the world. So that was enough for me of a public experience. Now, I'm joking. I mean, the reality is that a little bit like Stanley Hoffmann, and I don't want to in any way, shape, or form compare myself to him, but I wasn't French at the time, so I couldn't actually go into public service. I read somewhere that Stanley Hoffmann had the same limitation. But coming back to your question, it shaped a lot of my initial basic skills that I use every single day. And I think without Sciences Po and what I learned there, I wouldn't have had the career I had. And a few things. One, multidisciplinary education throughout the entire course of education there. Meaning, there's nothing, you're not supposed to address any question, issue, challenge in your life without understanding that there's systematically a number of angles to all the situations, right? It can be political, it can be historical, it can be economics, it can be international affairs, it can be ethical, right? In my years, we even had a conference course where we were taught how to read. So the point I'm trying to make is, in the complex world that you referred to earlier, there's never one angle to a situation, and the complexity of what we deal with every day requires forcing yourself into seeing a situation from different angles. So that's essential. Second thing also, it taught me how to think, right? When, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what your experience was, but well, first of all, I was Polish, right? So we tend to approach everything with emotions, not with intelligence. And you know, our history is filled with examples of what I just said. And so at Sciences Po, I started to understand that thought is a process, not an emotion, and that you have to approach it systematically and with expertise, the process of thinking, right? And that was extremely powerful, right? And to this day, I think, you know, I'm not as basic as, you know, 2 points and 2 sub-points, etc. But kind of, right? I mean, it helps to summarize a problem and try to get through the noise, right? Which is essential in the job I have in many of our jobs, actually. And I want to say, lastly, also, it taught me to write. And to some extent, most of my career, and even today, what is it that I'm doing really? I mean, the one thing that I'm actually doing, apart from speaking all the time and saying lots of stupid things, but it's writing. And so I also learned how to write at Sciences Po in an effective way. So, I mean, it made my career.
Power of words, incredibly important, and how you put them to paper. When we first spoke in anticipation of this event, I sort of said to you that we had sort of similar backgrounds, in that I started out my career in investment management, but then left that career to become a journalist. You joined Societe Generale after graduating from Sciences Po, but then you left the bank early to go into a career where you were working with tech startups. What drove that decision? And looking back, what would you now tell that younger self?
Well, first of all, I would tell him to do it.
To do what you did?
Yeah.
You don't regret it?
To leave the bank, which I did. I started very early on. I was 22 when I started working. And the reason I left is, after 3 years, I was really bored and really in need of some fresh air. and interaction with more people than just the pretty close department in which I worked, right? So that was one of the drive, and the second one was I was Polish but never lived in Poland after having moved to France when I was 7, and so I felt this calling to go back there, probably because of emotional aspects, but also because of the whole transformation, right, that the country was going through, politically, socially, economically, etc. And I felt it was the land of opportunities, the Far East, if you will, right? So that's what I wanted to experience. I failed miserably. So it's my new thing, where usually when I speak about this at the firm, I say, you know, I was so successful that here I am 25 years later in banking. But you know, the shorter version is I failed miserably, except that I met my best friend, partner in life, and my wife of 24 years, Magdalena. So without whom I wouldn't be here either. But more prosaically, I guess, pragmatically, I would also tell myself not to listen to lawyers. No offense to the many lawyers from my firm and outside firms that are here. And generally speaking, for a young person, not to get too influenced by people who want to impose on you their limitations, going back to the first narrative. And make sure that when you do something, you do it fully, right? Embracing all the risk to the last bit, right? To the last bit, and make sure that you don't let go before you reach that last step, right? And as you do this, to make sure that you explore all the angles of the situation, all the opportunities, and again, being less influenced by people around. I was too young. I was immature, and I still am, but kind of getting better.
Well, it also sounds though that that same entrepreneurial spirit that drove you to leave Societe Generale and go into the tech startup business, would you say that still drives you today, even as the CEO of one of the largest banks in the world?
I mean, definitely. I mean, there's nothing fun in all the other parts of my job, which are the regulatory stuff. I'm not saying it's not important. It's essential. It's critical for the safety and soundness of the system, but it's not fun. And so what clearly drives me every day is trying with extraordinary teams of mine, which are here, and thank you guys, but trying to do our job, supporting the clients, and that's what drives me, and that's, I guess, somewhat entrepreneurial. Even if it's the entrepreneurship of others that we support, it's still very entrepreneurial.
So you mentioned your team, which is always important for me when I'm interviewing people of your stature, to understand a little bit of your vision of leadership, how you see yourself as a leader, what excites you about leading a team and an organization such as Societe Generale.
Well, for me, it starts at the core. What excites me, to use your words, is the accountability, the responsibility, being you know, the one with the team. I'll come back to this, but to be responsible for what's going on, right? I mean, I'm paraphrasing a client here, but when something's going wrong or not fast enough or not well enough, you know, I can't turn my head and say, what's going on, right? What have you done, right? Or whatever, it's just what have you done, right? But have you not done, right? And for the situation not to be where it is today. And the sense of accountability and therefore call to action every day is something that excites me a lot. Now, from a leadership perspective, it's also how, as the captain of the team, but without the team being nothing, right? Being clueless, being powerless, being you know, unable to achieve anything, right? But how, as the captain of the team, with the team, we can face the challenges that we have, both the big ones, the strategic ones, the, you know, the trenches that Stefan mentioned earlier that we are in sometimes, but also, once again, how can we make it happen for our clients, who are the real heroes of our lives and who we support in what they have to achieve for themselves and very often for the world, right? Because they have the biggest impact on the world, and we're enabling that. And that's something which is really, really meaningful to me, being this cog of the success of others and this enabler of the potential of others. That's beautiful.
Do you find, and it's not the first time, I heard it in the introduction, I've seen it in interviews that others have done of you and of your management style, that people have said, yes, he does have a little less French management style in him, and more perhaps, I won't use the word American, but maybe non-French. Do you find that they are accurate when they represent you in that way?
I can't say if it's American or not. I mean, again, to Stefan's point, if it's about not liking wasting time, trying to be on time to meetings, cutting through the crap and bullshit, I'm definitely more American. But I think, we need to be careful about these comparisons. I mean, there's obviously lots of great French entrepreneurs. We have an iconic entrepreneur from France here, Dominique Sénéquier. I don't think I don't know whether she's American or French. She's great, and that's what it comes down to eventually.
And what most excites you about leading an organization like Societe Generale?
Again, back to what I said earlier, we have a big challenge, right? A big set of challenges, on the table right now. And I guess that's part of the excitement, right? Again, having eventually now the responsibility, the accountability for making it happen. And it's a challenge which is on many levels. It's strategic, it's cultural, right? We believe that we need to enact and effect a deep cultural change at our firm, and somewhat to, again, get through the noise of difficult years, of many challenges of the past, and go back to the roots of our company and to its strengths, to its incredible profile and incredible impact on many, many clients throughout the ages, because we're 160 years old. And so giving that back, all the strength, all the innovation, and all the entrepreneurship, and leave behind, the challenges of the past and some of the issues that we have had in the past. And again, it's a strategic, financial, managerial, and definitely cultural challenge. And there's a lot of work, but it's also some form of a mission, right? To a company, for a company that gave me and so many others so many opportunities, right? My entire career has also to do, of course, with what Societe Generale is, right? A company which gave me and many others opportunities without ever asking who we were, where did we come from, what were our connections, or what have you. We're just looking at what's the performance, right? Eventually, and that's great, and I think we owe a great deal to this company, and that's our way and our moment to pay it back.
There's another paradox. It's been mentioned you're one of the youngest, if not the youngest, CEO of a top global bank, and yet you've mentioned, and I've heard you in almost every response you've given me, you've talked about your clients, the clients of the bank. You still value an old-fashioned, or what some people call an old-fashioned approach to clients. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most important thing in my life, and I think in our job is to do what I described earlier, which is, again, enable others' greatness, right? We're this humble piece on the foundation of other people's genius, greatness, and there's nothing more noble, in my view, that to embrace this position, right? Of being at the service of others' greatness. And so from this perspective, it gives the meaning every day to my life. It's what I like the most. But also, why, maybe old-fashioned, I don't know, but what I see in these relationships are the relationship. That in the end, it's not so much about technicalities or expertise. On some level in our league, everybody has it. It's how you're approaching all these moments where clients usually are actually kind of weak. Because even if they're great, if they're on the eve of doing something that is transformational for them, making a big investment, making a big acquisition, what have you, they are in this moment of weakness, right? Of hesitation, of emotion, of being emotional, right? How are you going to approach this? Are you going to approach this with technicality and not caring really about what's going on, but just about the outcome for yourself from a transactional perspective? Or are you going to be somebody who is in a position of being in this deep relationship with someone who needs you, right? And who needs more than your technicality, who needs your strength, who needs your confidence, who needs your counsel, but one which is both unfiltered, but also willing to say and advise everything, even if it goes against your own interest, for the sake of the long-term relationship with that human being before being a CEO, a founder, or what have you, right? And that's what's most rewarding, and that's where what I described earlier about the role of a banker really takes form, so to speak, right? So this is, I guess, what I love about this, right? And I had my biggest compliment that I ever received from a client, it was not just for me, it was for the team that worked on the transaction, was we won something big. It's the biggest thing I've done in my life from a transactional perspective. We won big and against all odds, right? And so at some point I said to the client afterwards, but why did you do it? Frankly, now we can say it, this was a little weird on your part to pick us to do this, right, alone. And the guy looked me in the eye and said, because you were the most passionate about this. And in the end, we knew it was going to be very difficult to achieve, very risky, and we felt that passion was a better hedge for us than anything else.
Let me dig a little deeper into passion and what makes you passionate. You're on the record in several interviews that you've done as saying that you are proud to be a banker. The profession has changed over the years. What are the aspects of banking that are most disruptive? And beyond just the client experience that you described, what are the areas of banking that you're also passionate about?
It's, I guess, again, this idea that on top of everything I already said about the clients, that we are somewhat powerful, right? And I'll explain. Not in the sense that we usually talk about bankers, but in the sense that being at a cog in the system, but present all over, right? We're present in 60 countries, 1.5 trillion balance sheet. I never think about this because I wouldn't sleep, but 1.5 trillion
Still on
balance
the tip
sheet.
of your tongue, though.
Yeah. all over the world, and doing big things, right? In terms of the energy transition, in terms of financing infrastructure, in terms of doing complex things which, again, thanks to our clients, but are doing good in the world, right? And this idea that we have this responsibility in terms of allocating the capital, taking those risks, either for our clients or with our clients, etc., is also, from another angle, a very noble and important mission, if we envisage it this way, right? That we actually are in a position to make a lot of good happen, not ourselves directly, but through, again, our clients and the way and the ethics with which we manage this balance sheet, the risks that we're entrusted with, the deposits as well, right? The money that people give us, their savings and everything, right? And so having this potential to be an actor of change, and an actor of change for the good of society and the communities we work with and for and within, I mean, is another thing to be passionate about. Not easy, right? I mean, sometimes it's difficult to figure out how to do it, what's the right path, what's the right pace, you know, typically if you talk about the energy transition, but it is also something which is, yeah, inspiring.
We have about 5 minutes left, but I'll just wrap up by asking you a question that I ask a lot of people, whether they're presidents or bankers or just ordinary folks who do extraordinary things. You've already had a remarkable career that got you to this point. You're just under a year in your tenure as the Societe Generale CEO, but do you think about your legacy? And if you do, and don't be ashamed to say that you do, what would you like that legacy to be?
As the CEO, as a person.
Oh, see, you flipped the tables on me. That's good. Let's let you have to give me both now. Let's start with the CEO.
As the CEO, it's in the end, it's a simple one. It's again coming back to this image. As the captain of the team, without the team, I can't do anything. But with the team, we can do a lot of things. And I would love for folks, our clients, people who watch, for them to say they did it. They had a big challenge, and they just did it. These were good people with good intentions, the right values, and they did it.
And as a person?
Simpler. I want to be someone who was a good father, was a good husband, a good friend, and somebody who's remembered as having been a good guy. That's more than enough.
It sounds to me, though, that you've, yeah. Would you say then, in that way, that you've lived up to the expectations and the values that we began this discussion with, the values that your parents instilled in you when you were a boy?
Yes, I guess so. But on the other hand, if my parents were here, they would just say, well, I mean, of course. And so, I mean, what are you proud of, right? I mean, we taught you to do whatever you wanted to do in your life, and so nothing, no big news here. So anyway.
This has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.
This was really great. Appreciate it.